My world had been darkness, absolute and suffocating. Then, just yesterday, impossibly, miraculously, my sight returned. The first rush was pure elation. I wanted to shout, to run to my parents and share the miracle. But as I scrambled out of bed, my hand brushed against something rough beneath it. A crumpled wad of tissue paper. Curiosity, or perhaps just the ingrained tidiness that bordered on obsession, made me retrieve it. Smoothing it out, I found a sentence scrawled in messy, hurried letters, as if written in frantic haste. Don't tell them you can see. 3 months ago, a violent car crash had stolen my vision. My parents, ever devoted, had uprooted our lives, moving us from the bustling city to this secluded house deep in the countryside, supposedly for my better care, for peace and quiet. And then last night the darkness had simply lifted, like a veil withdrawn. Now this cryptic message, them. Here in this isolated house, them could only mean my parents. Who could have possibly slipped this? Under my bed? In the 3 months since the accident, the only visitors to my room had been my mother, my father, and my husband, Ethan. Just as the unsettling question began to form, a gentle knock echoed through the door. "Ava, dear," came my mother's voice, warm and familiar as ever. "Mom made you some bird's nest soup." Instinctively, I crumpled the tissue again and tossed it into the small wastebasket beside my bed. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door and froze. My pupils contracted violently, shock jolting through me like an electric current. The woman standing there, holding a steaming bowl, was a stranger. Her smile was wide, stretched unnaturally over features I didn't recognize. Her lips were painted a jarring blood red. There was a sharpness to her face, a cunning in her eyes that was utterly alien. This was not my mother. My mother was gentle, her face softened by years of kindness. This woman shared not a single feature, not a line, not a contour. Yet, impossibly, the voice that emerged from those red lips was identical, eerily perfect. I stumbled back a step, sheer terror washing over me. Who are you?" The question almost escaped my lips, but the memory of the note flashed in my mind, sharp and urgent. "Don't let them know." "Ava? What's wrong, sweetheart?" The woman stepped closer, her brow furrowed in mock concern. "Are you feeling unwell?" Summoning every ounce of control, I forced my limbs to move, feeling my way back towards the bed as if still blind. "Mom," I managed, my voice hopefully sounding weak, uncertain. "Just put the soup there. I'll eat it in a bit." "It's hot, Ava. Why don't I feed you?" she persisted, her smile unwavering. "No, really, Mom," I said quickly, turning my face away slightly. I'm suddenly feeling quite tired. I think I'll rest for a while. I'll eat it when it cools down." The woman hesitated for a fraction of a second, her eyes lingering on me, then nodded. "All right, dear. Rest well." She placed the bowl on the nightstand and left, closing the door softly behind her. The moment the latch clicked, the breath I hadn't realized I was holding rushed out in a ragged gasp. I collapsed onto the bed, my back instantly drenched in cold sweat. My real mother. Where was she? Who was this woman? And by terrifying extension, was the man downstairs truly my father? Fear for my mother clawed at me. I had to know. Pushing myself up, I cracked open the door and peered out. Silence. I slipped out of the room. For the first time, I truly saw the place I'd been living in. It was a spacious 2-story villa, elegantly furnished but with an underlying sense of emptiness. I stood on the second-floor landing looking down into the living room. A man sat on the sofa, his back to me, engrossed in a newspaper. That must be my father. A quick scan confirmed the woman wasn't in sight. Taking a chance, I kept my voice low, hesitant. "Dad." The man turned. Raw primal fear seized me, colder and sharper than before. It wasn't his face. Not my father's kind, familiar face. This man was a stranger, his features unfamiliar, his expression unreadable. "Ava? What is it?" But the voice was my father's. Deep, reassuring, exactly as I remembered it. A shaky, grotesque imitation of a smile stretched my lips. "Nothing, Dad. Just nothing." Suddenly, the woman's head popped out from a room nearby, her red lips pulled back in that same exaggerated smile. "Ava? I thought you were going to sleep." I changed my mind, Mom. Not tired anymore," I stammered, trying to appear casual. "Well then, let Mama feed you that soup." She emerged, holding the bowl she'd left in my room earlier. Resistance felt too risky now. She guided me to sit, then carefully spooned the warm, sweet liquid into my mouth. Each spoonful felt like swallowing paste. The rich sweetness was lost, replaced by the metallic taste of fear. Was there something in it? My nerves were frayed wires. Every muscle tense as I focused on mimicking blindness, praying she wouldn't notice the tremor in my hands, the way my eyes instinctively tracked her movements. What's wrong, Ava? The woman leaned closer, her voice laced with concern that felt utterly false. You look so pale and you're sweating terribly. Her eyes, unnervingly large with startlingly small pupils swimming in a sea of white, bored directly into mine. It felt like being examined by an insect. It's nothing, I forced myself to say, letting my voice tremble slightly with manufactured despair. I don't know when my eyes will ever get better. She offered a thin smile. Don't worry, Ava. You'll heal. You just need patience. Her hand, cool and dry, patted my head in a gesture that was meant to be comforting but felt chillingly proprietary. Back in my room, the lock clicking shut felt like the only barrier against encroaching madness. I sank onto the bed, fear a cold knot in my stomach. Who were these people? Where were my real parents? My thoughts raced back. My husband, Ethan, had visited about 2 weeks ago. He was an airline pilot, his schedule demanding. I remembered hearing him laughing downstairs with my parents, the real ones. Dad had even gotten him thoroughly drunk. They'd insisted he stay the night. So, 2 weeks ago my parents were still themselves. What had happened since then? My phone. I fumbled for it. Since losing my sight, I'd relied solely on voice commands. My fingers trembled as I navigated the familiar interface, finding Ethan's contact. I dialed. It rang twice before he picked up. His voice instantly grounding, the familiar warmth a lifeline. Ava? Honey, what's wrong? I just landed. I can come see you now. Ethan, I began, the words tumbling out in a rush. You're not going to believe this, it sounds crazy, but listen to me, everything I'm about to tell you is true. There was a brief pause, then his voice firm and steady. Ava, whatever you say, I believe you. Tell me. I poured out the story, the recovered sight, the note, the imposters with familiar voices but alien faces. Okay, Ava. Stay calm. I'm coming right now, Ethan said, his tone now urgent. The airport was about an hour's drive away. Knowing Ethan was on his way brought a small measure of comfort, a pinprick of light in the suffocating darkness of my situation. Then another knock on the door. Ava? Time for your medicine. It was the imposter father's voice, the man who wasn't my father. My heart hammered against my ribs. I stared at the door, frozen. Silence. Then the doorknob began to turn. Finding it locked, the man spoke again, his voice coaxing, almost playful. Why is the door locked, Ava? You need your medicine if you want your eyes to get better. He urged me to open the door. I wouldn't. I hugged my knees to my chest, determined not to make a sound, not until Ethan arrived. Sleeping already? Little rascal, the man chuckled softly. I heard his footsteps retreating down the hallway, then down the stairs. I let out a shaky breath. But the relief was short-lived. A prickling sensation crawled up my spine, the distinct chilling feeling of being watched. Panic tightening my chest, I crept towards the door, pressing my ear against the wood. Silence. Utter silence from the hallway. It seemed he really had gone downstairs. Still uneasy, I cautiously lowered myself to the floor, intending to peek through the narrow gap between the door and the floorboards, and found myself staring directly into a pair of eyes. Small pupils, vast whites, pressed against the crack from the other side. The man was lying flat on the hallway floor, watching me. A strangled gasp lodged in my throat. Cold sweat broke out all over my body. Thinking fast, feigning ignorance, I started patting the floor around me, my voice deliberately loud and slightly confused. Oh, that's strange. I'm sure my phone fell down here somewhere. The eyes vanished from the crack. I scrambled back, collapsing against the wall, gasping for air, my body trembling uncontrollably. They were playing with me. The creatures. This strange, terrifying couple had replaced my parents for a reason, a sinister purpose I couldn't begin to fathom. My only hope was Ethan. An agonizing hour crawled by. Finally my phone rang. Ethan. Ava. Where are you? His voice was strained, filled with confusion and anxiety. His question baffled me. I'm here, Ethan, in the villa. The one you visited. Don't tell me you went to the wrong place. My own anxiety spiked. Ava, I am at the villa. he insisted, his voice tight with bewilderment. But it's empty. You're not here. Your parents aren't here. The whole place is covered in dust, Ava. Thick dust. It looks like no one's lived here for months. His words hit me like a physical blow. Empty? Dusty? He sent me a picture. My stomach churned. It was unmistakably the villa's living room. The layout, the furniture. But it looked derelict. Thick layer of gray dust coated everything. Cobwebs clung to the corners of the ceiling. It was the same place, yet utterly different from the clean inhabited villa I was currently trapped in. An image flashed in my mind, the newspaper the imposter father had been reading earlier, left on the coffee table. Ethan, the coffee table. Is there a newspaper on it? Take a picture. Seconds later, another photo arrived. There it was. A newspaper lay on the dusty surface. Zooming in, I could just make out the date. Today's date. My heart felt like it was trying to beat its way out of my chest. My hand gripping the phone shook violently. Ethan, I am here. I swear. I can video call you right now. What's happening? Am I dead? Am I dreaming? Tears welled up, hot and blurring, my control finally shattering. Ava, don't cry. Ethan's voice was urgent, soothing. I absolutely believe you. Don't talk crazy. Listen, I've already called the police. They're on their way. Just hang on. Whatever is going on, don't let them know you can see. I don't know why they're pretending to be your parents, but for now they probably won't hurt you as long as you don't give yourself away. He paused, then asked, how much battery do you have left? I need you to stay on the line with me. I glanced at the icon. 15%. I never charged it overnight. It wouldn't last long. The charger. I frantically searched the room drawers, nightstand, outlets. Nothing. Then I remembered last night before I knew the truth. I'd been listening to an audiobook downstairs while my phone charged on the dining table. It had to still be there. The charger's downstairs. I whispered into the phone. I have to get it. Taking a deep breath, steeling myself, I unlocked the door and slipped out. The hallway was quiet. It seemed the couple were in my parents' bedroom down the hall. I moved quickly, silently, down the stairs and into the dining room. There it was, plugged into the wall socket near the table. Relief washed over me. As I reached to unplug it, a prickle of unease made me turn. The woman stood right behind me, unnervingly close. Her face was blank, devoid of expression, but her eyes glittered strangely. Then her lips stretched into that horrifyingly wide smile. Ava, dear, she said, her voice deceptively soft. I just noticed, you came down those stairs much faster than usual. Almost like you could see where you were going. Fear, cold and absolute, shot up from my feet to the crown of my head. My heart hammered against my ribs. Her stare was intense, probing. Mom, I said, forcing a lightness I didn't feel, keeping my gaze unfocused. If I could see, you'd be the first to know. My phone's about to die, that's why I rushed. Besides, I added, trying a casual shrug, I've been living here for 3 months now, blind or not. I know my way around pretty well. The woman chuckled, a dry, unsettling sound. She reached out, her fingers tipped with garish scarlet polish, and stroked my cheek. Her touch was icy cold like a reptile's skin, sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. Silly me. For a moment I thought our Ava could see again. Mama got her hopes up. She paused, her smile fading slightly, her gaze hardening. But Ava, if you could see, you wouldn't hide it from your father and me, would you? That would make us rather unhappy. Her hand dropped from my face and snatched the phone from my grasp before I could react. Here, give it to Mama. I'll plug it in for you. She glanced down at the screen. Oh, still talking to Ethan? I held my breath, paralyzed with tension. Ethan's voice came through the speaker, remarkably calm. Mom? Hi. Listen, I feel terrible. I haven't been around much for Ava. I managed to get 2 weeks off. I'm coming straight over to spend some real time with her. The woman's smile returned, wide and seemingly genuine. Oh, Ethan, that's wonderful. You hurry over. Your dad will make his special braised pork, your favorite. Ava misses you terribly. Her tone was sickeningly sweet, the perfect doting mother-in-law. I'll hang up for Ava now, dear. Charging the phone while talking isn't very safe. You know? She ended the call. As she bent to plug the phone in, her eyes flickered sideways, catching mine for a split second before focusing back on the charger. She knew. Or at least she suspected. When she finally left the dining room, I leaned against the wall, legs trembling so hard I could barely stand. My back was soaked again. Ethan couldn't find this place. The police couldn't find this place. I had to get out. Alone. My plan formed. Wait until the phone reached 30%, then make a run for it. Suddenly, a faint creaking sound came from the kitchen nearby. Squeak. The door of a large pantry cabinet swung open just a crack. Drawn by the sound, I looked towards it. What I saw drained the blood from my face, leaving me ice cold and nauseous. From the gap in the cabinet door, a hand dangled limply. Pale, bloodless, already tinged with a faint bluish hue. On one finger, stark against the pallid skin, was a small dark mole. My mother's mole. My mother's hand. My vision swam. Red filled my eyes. It wasn't a living hand. My mother wasn't missing. She was dead. Murdered. By these monsters. And hidden here. My only instinct screamed, "Run!" I spun around, ready to bolt, and collided almost face to face with the man. He was walking towards me from the living room, a faint smile on his lips. His gaze flickered towards the cabinet, saw the dangling hand, then snapped back to my face. "Ava? What are you doing in here?" His voice was filled with gentle concern. "Why are your eyes so red? Have you been crying?" But even as he spoke, I saw his hand reach casually towards the knife block on the counter. He selected a gleaming fruit knife, its blade sharp and pointed. He walked towards me, the knife held loosely at his side. Then with terrifying speed, he lunged, thrusting the knife directly towards my eye. The razor-sharp tip stopped barely a centimeter from my cornea. Time stopped. Every survival instinct screamed, but one thought dominated. Don't react. Don't let him know. I forced myself to remain still, my eyes wide but unblinking, focused somewhere past his shoulder, simulating blindness perfectly. After a heart-stopping moment, he slowly lowered the knife, his smile returning. "Ava, your mom mentioned Ethan's coming over. Dad's going to make his favorite braised pork." He chuckled, then casually put the fruit knife down. And then he opened the pantry cabinet fully. My mother's head rolled out, landing softly on the floor tiles at my feet. Her eyes, wide and bulging, stared sightlessly up at me. A scream built in my throat, a raw sound of horror and grief, but I choked it back down. I had to maintain the charade. I forced my lips into a semblance of a smile. "Okay, Dad." But the horror wasn't over. He reached into the cabinet and pulled out the rest of her body. He lifted her corpse and tossed it onto the large butcher block table with the same indifference one might show an animal carcass. "Dad managed to get hold of some excellent black pork," he said, his eyes meeting mine with unmistakable malice flickering within their depths. "Ethan's in for a treat tonight." I watched, frozen in disbelief, as he picked up a heavy cleaver. He winked at me, a grotesque, knowing gesture, then brought the cleaver down. Thwack! My stomach churned violently. Bile rose in my throat. Grief and despair crashed over me in a suffocating wave. I had to get out, escape this house of horrors. But as I turned to leave, the man spoke again. "Ava, do Dad a favor? This meat is a bit tough to cut. Could you hold it steady for me?" The cruelty was staggering. Or perhaps it was another test. He wanted to see me break. Because there was no way, absolutely no way, I could stand here and watch him dismember my mother's body while pretending not to see. "Dad," I said, struggling to keep my voice even, forcing another weak smile. "I'm feeling really tired again. I think I'll go back upstairs and rest for a bit." "All right then, you go rest," he replied cheerfully, turning back to his gruesome task. "Dad can handle this." Back in my room, the dam finally broke. I locked the door and collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Deep ragged gasps tore through me. My beloved mother was dead, butchered like an animal, and I had watched it happen. My father. He was likely dead too. After several minutes, I forced myself to pull together. Grief would have to wait. Survival came first. I took a deep breath, picked up my phone, blessedly still charging, and dialed emergency services. My voice shook as I relayed my situation, the imposters, the recovered site, the murder I'd witnessed, giving them the address of the villa. The dispatcher told me to lock myself in my room, stay put, and not come out for any reason. Patrol cars would arrive within 30 minutes. Hanging up, I double-checked the lock on my door. Just then my phone rang again. "Ethan. Ava? Are you okay?" "I'm okay," I whispered, but hearing his voice cracked my fragile composure again. "Ethan, I saw her. I saw Mom's body." He was silent for a moment. "Ava, listen to me. Be strong. I know you're hurting, I can't even imagine, but right now the most important thing is your safety. You have to stay safe. He was right. This wasn't the time for grief. The police were 30 minutes away. I just had to survive for 30 more minutes. Footsteps ascended the stairs. Heavy, deliberate. The man's voice sounded just outside my door, sickeningly paternal. Ava? Dad finished the braised pork. Come down and taste it, see if it needs anything. Rage, cold and sharp, mingled with my fear. I stared intently at the door. Dad, I'm really not hungry right now. A moment later, the woman's voice joined his, smooth and persuasive. Ava, sweetheart, come out. Let Mom give your eyes a nice massage. Remember the doctor said massage helps the circulation. Mom, I want to be alone for a while. I pleaded, my voice tight with tension. Then the unmistakable sound. A key sliding into the lock. Click. Rattle. They had a key to my room. As the doorknob began to turn, I scrambled frantically, diving under the bed, pressing myself flat against the floorboards. In the dim light filtering from the hallway, I saw the underside of the bed was covered in frantic lines of black marker. Words. Sentences. But there was no time to read. The door swung open with a soft creak. Ava? Where are you hiding? The woman's voice dripped with false sweetness, making it sound utterly sinister. Such a big girl now, still playing hide and seek with Mommy and Daddy? I clapped a hand over my mouth, stifling my breath, praying they wouldn't find me. I heard the closet door slide open, then slam shut. The bathroom door opened and closed. I squeezed my eyes shut, shrinking further into the corner beneath the bed. Please, please don't look here. My prayer went unanswered. Two faces appeared, upside down, peering into the darkness under the bed. Blank expressions morphed simultaneously into matching grotesque smiles. Found you, Ava. The scream I'd been holding back threatened to erupt. I bit down hard on my lip, tasting blood. Mom? Dad? I forced a shaky smile, pushing myself out slowly, pretending to feel my way. Remember when we used to play hide and seek when I was little? I was just feeling nostalgic. The woman looked at me, her expression softening slightly, a strange sigh escaping her lips. Oh, that time. I remember you hid in the old pigsty. You were covered head to toe in mud when I found you. Her words sent a shockwave through me. That was real. A real memory from my childhood. How could she know that? After Mom found me, I'd spiked a high fever. She carried me all the way to the clinic in town because we didn't have a car and Dad was away on business. You got so sick afterwards, the woman continued, her eyes distant, seemingly lost in reminiscence. We were so poor back then, no car. Your father was away. I carried you all the way to the doctor in town. You threw up all over my back on the way. She chuckled softly. My fingernails dug into my palms. Every detail was perfect. Frighteningly perfect. How? Seeing my silence, the woman reached out, stroking my hair. Ava, she said, her tone shifting, becoming serious. Ethan. He's really gone too far this time. Mom and Dad have been polite to him for your sake, but honestly, we think you should divorce him. A sweet girl like you shouldn't be with someone like that, the man added, nodding gravely. I stared at them, bewildered. Ethan? What did Ethan do? The woman and man exchanged a quick, meaningful glance. The woman spoke hesitantly, testing the waters. Ava, don't you remember what happened right before the accident? You went to the airport to surprise Ethan, didn't you? And you saw him walking out arm in arm with some flight attendant, laughing. You were so upset you just ran straight into the road. That's when the car hit you. She paused, watching my reaction closely. When you woke up, you seemed different, like you'd completely blocked out everything about Ethan. We were afraid to upset you further, so we never mentioned it. We pretended we didn't know. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. I sank onto the edge of the bed, feeling weak and dizzy. Was that why I'd crashed? Was this whole nightmare my fault? No. I couldn't trust them. They killed my mother. You're not my parents, I said, my voice flat, cold. I saw what you did. I decided then and there. No more pretending. The woman's face lit up with sudden, intense joy. She rushed forward, cupping my face in her hands. You can see? Oh, Ava. You can see. That's wonderful. Daughter, Mama is so happy for you. I shoved her away violently. Stop it. Stop pretending. You're not my mother. You killed my mother. You chopped her up and you were going to feed her to Ethan. The man stared at me, his expression one of utter confusion. Ava, what are you talking about? Your mother is right here. What body? That's morbid talk, sweetheart. Still pretending? I screamed, fueled by rage and grief. I bolted out of the room and down the stairs, straight into the kitchen. But the kitchen was spotless. No blood. No sign of the earlier horror. On the floor where my mother's head had rested, there was now a large raw pig's head, eyes glassy. That pig, the man said, sounding weary, exasperated. Dad had it brought in fresh from the countryside yesterday. Especially for you, Ava, to help you recover. Frantically, I yanked open every cabinet, every drawer. My mother's body, the dismembered parts, were gone. Vanished without a trace. The woman suddenly burst into loud, theatrical sobs. The doctors warned us this might happen, she cried, wringing her hands. Post-traumatic delusions, they said. We didn't want to believe it. Oh, Ava, what's happening to you? We're right here. We're your parents. I turned slowly, staring hard at their unfamiliar faces, searching for any flicker of truth, any hint of my real parents. Prove it, I challenged, my voice shaking. Prove you're my parents. Wiping her eyes, the woman fumbled for her phone, her hand trembling. As she held it up, I noticed it on her finger. Exactly where my mother's had been was a small dark mole. She showed me the phone screen. Photo after photo scrolled by. Me smiling nestled between these two strangers. We looked happy, relaxed, a normal family. The dates on the photos were from before the accident 3 months ago when I could still see. My face blanched. I stumbled back, shaking my head, refusing to accept it. It's all Ethan's fault, the man suddenly roared. His face contorted with fury, veins pulsing in his neck. If it weren't for him, my daughter wouldn't be like this. I stared at them, numb. Could it be true? Was I the one who was sick? Had the trauma of the accident and Ethan's betrayal fractured my mind, creating this horrific delusion? Were these my real parents, distorted by my own broken perception? Dad. Mom. I whispered, confused and lost. I need to go back to my room. I need to think. This time they didn't try to stop me. The man nodded, his expression heavy with concern. The woman watched me with tear-filled eyes. I walked upstairs like a zombie, my mind reeling. If they were telling the truth, if I was the one who was sick, then what about the note under the bed? From the landing I glanced down. They were sitting on the sofa now, side by side, looking up towards my room, their faces etched with worry. I quickly raised my phone, snapped a picture of them and sent it to Ethan. His reply came almost instantly. Ava, what's up? Yeah, that's Mom and Dad. They look worried about you. Everything okay? A wave of dizziness washed over me. They were my parents. It was all real. The sickness, the delusions, it was all me. I stumbled back into my room, collapsing onto the bed, the phone still clutched in my hand. I dialed Ethan again, my voice hollow. Ethan, you cheated on me, didn't you? He hesitated. Ava, look, you saw something that day, I know. It was a misunderstanding. Please believe me, I never cheated on you. Whether he cheated or not suddenly felt secondary. Even if I was sick, there were still holes. Where was Ethan really? The dusty villa in his photos? And the note? Who wrote the note? My eyes drifted to the space under the bed. The frantic black writing I hadn't had time to read earlier. Driven by a desperate need for answers, I crawled back underneath. My blood ran cold as I deciphered the words scrawled across the wood. Ava, the note was from me. I am you from the last cycle. You are reliving this. This is your 5th time. It sounds impossible, but those people downstairs are not your parents. Do not believe a word they say. Do not trust Ethan either. He is lying about the other villa. Think about it. He can fake photos with Photoshop. Each time the cycle ends, you lose your memory. But the 4th you was lucky. She remembered. She left this message for you, the 5th you. Do not trust the police. They won't help. You will die at 8 p.m. tonight and start the 6th cycle. Unless you kill them before then. You might not believe this. Ethan will try everything to stop you from killing them. He will feed you lies. Ava, are you still there? Ethan's voice crackled from the phone lying on the floor. A chilling calm settled over me. Ethan, I said, my voice steady. I have to kill them. No. Ava, you can't. Don't do it. You're sick, Ava. You can't. His voice rose in panic. I ended the call. Moving silently, I crept to the door and peered out. I could see them in the kitchen below, gathered around the table, eagerly eating the braised pork. My stomach roiled. I don't think she fully believes us. The woman's voice drifted up. Maybe we should just finish it, the man replied coldly. Wait. I feel like. Did she come out? Suddenly, the man's head snapped up, his eyes locking directly onto my position in the shadowed doorway upstairs. I recoiled instantly, my heart pounding violently against my ribs. Footsteps, urgent now, started up the stairs. Avea? Where are you, my sweet girl? The woman's sing-song voice echoed unnervingly in the stairwell. I scrambled back into my room, grabbing a small, sharp craft knife I kept for hobbies, and squeezed myself into the narrow space of the built-in wall closet. My palm was slick with sweat around the handle of the knife. Outside, a storm seemed to break suddenly. Rain lashed against the windows, and a deafening clap of thunder shook the house. In the narrow slit between the closet doors, illuminated by a flash of lightning, I saw an eye, pressed right against the crack, staring in. Fund? So. The man's voice hissed. The closet door was ripped open. He dragged me out. The woman grabbed my shoulder, her grip like iron. Ava, why won't you believe us? You're sick. Very sick. Mommy and Daddy need to take you to the hospital. Pure adrenaline surged through me. I twisted violently and sank my teeth into the woman's hand. She shrieked, recoiling in pain, her grip momentarily loosening. In that instant, I raised the craft knife and slashed downwards, slicing open her forearm. Ava! Ethan stood in the doorway, panting, his face deathly pale. He must have arrived just moments ago. Ava! What are you doing? He rushed towards me. They're your parents. You're sick. Look. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket and thrust it at me. A report. He threw it. It fluttered to the floor at my feet. I snatched it up. It was a psychiatric evaluation. Mine. Dated shortly after the accident. It detailed severe mental instability, paranoid delusions, hallucinations. Ava, listen to me. Ethan pleaded, his eyes desperate. I didn't cheat. That colleague stumbled, I just helped her up. That's all it was. You've always been sensitive, suspicious. You controlled me so tightly. But I never thought you wouldn't even listen to my explanation before running off like that. That's why the accident happened. He gestured towards the couple, the woman, clutching her bleeding arm, tears streaming down her face, the man looking horrified. Mom and Dad have been taking such good care of you, Ava. Put the knife down. He looked at me, his expression imploring. The woman sobbed pitifully, ignoring her wound, her eyes full of sorrow. Then the words from under the bed echoed in my mind. Ethan will feed you lies to stop you. Suddenly flashes of memory, real memories flooded my mind. My real mother carrying me through the rain to the town clinic, her back soaked from my vomit. My real father's shy smile as he surprised me with the ginger kitten-eyed. Desperately wanted. My father, who never cooked, proudly presenting a disastrously cooked but love-filled meal the day I got into my top-choice high school. Their faces swam before me, gentle, kind, loving. The faces of my true parents. And they were absolutely, unequivocally not the faces of the two strangers standing before me now, nor the face of the man trying to manipulate me. My parents, no matter what state they were in, would never inspire this deep, visceral wrongness, this chilling sense of the uncanny. My resolve hardened into certainty. Ignoring Ethan's shocked cry, I moved. Fast. The craft knife flashed twice. A swift, deep cut across each of their throats. I expected a struggle, resistance. But there was none. They simply stared at me, their eyes wide, filled not with pain, but with a chilling mixture of hatred and fleetingly fear. And then the world fractured. Everything around me, the room, the imposters, Ethan began to dissolve, breaking apart into millions of tiny, shimmering fragments, like a shattered digital screen. Ethan stood frozen amidst the disintegration, his expression unreadable, complex. He looked straight at me. You did it, Ava, he said. But the voice that came from his lips wasn't his. It was mine. Then he too dissolved into nothingness. In the swirling void, two figures materialized. My real parents, Eleanor and Arthur. Hand in hand, smiling at me, their faces filled with love and pride. You did it, sweetheart, my mother whispered, her voice warm and real. Tears streamed down my face, hot and cleansing. Then they too began to fade, dissolving into shimmering particles, leaving me alone in the quiet aftermath, the cycle finally broken.